Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. Kane delighted taking a stranding ball to Victor Newman's conglomerate, but he's not done yet. The coming person whose life grottos and maybe someone Ashby didn't intend to harm. There are loads of young and restless suckers who suppose Kane will pull the hairpiece out from under Phyllis's bases at some point. After all, does he truly need her? Can he ever really trust her? Whether Ashby gives Phyllis what she thinks she has coming or not remains to be seen, but Red's not our rather, it's someone that Kane claims he's trying to connect with and help his not family, Billy Abbott. But, you may be allowing, Billy is set to have his heart's desire thanks to Kane. It's true. Kane and Phyllis's preemption of all affects Newman is nearly a done deal, and Kane's offered Billy the chance to run Chancellor again as a gargantuan olive branch. The problem? Well, there are many. Billy, as always, has lair vision where Chancellor is concerned. He can't see the chain response that accepting it would set off. We, still, can see it easily, and it could absolutely ruin his life. Sally Kane Billy. Sally's assuming, and so are young and restless suckers, that Billy will find Kane's offer contagious. In his head, it'll each work out. He'll run Chancellor, Sally will continue heading over Abbott dispatches, and they'll skip off into the proverbial evening as Genoa City's newest power couple, except it wouldn't go like that. Billy Sally. Billy will advertise he's walking down from Abbott dispatches and taking over Chancellor precociously. This wouldn't only goad NIKKI to fight harder to keep it, but it'll annoy both Sally and Jill. This is a big problem because Jill is the silent investor keeping Abbott dispatches in business. Jill didn't want Billy to run Catherine's company, that's why she vended it out from under him. She funded his new adventure to give her son a fresh launch and commodity differently to concentrate on, to make commodity of his own. However, she might pull the backing from his media company, if she gets the news that he's skipping out on Abcom because Kane's set to hand him Chancellor back. Sally YNR. Sally, who's formerly fed up with Billy's incapability to put his demons to rest, would be out of a job after having left Marchetti to team with her swain despite others advising her against it. Indeed, if Jill doesn't pull the backing, Spectra is bound to be furious with Billy for choosing to stick it to Victor and Jill over recognizing his commitment to her and their new business. Sally Billy YNR. So, Billy might lose Abbott dispatches and Sally, but he'll still have Chancellor, right? There wouldn't be anything Jill can do about it. Wrong. Victor, as young and restless suckers well know, always wins in the end. NIKKI wouldn't give up Chancellor without a fight, indeed if it's devaluated by the pillaging of the AI. It's Catherine's heritage, after all. Still, he'll have lost everything, if Billy doesn't indeed get Chancellor in the end. Kane's offer will have effectively destroyed his life unless there's a truly shocking twist. What would that be? Why, Billy turning Ashby down, of course. Billy Kane YNR. Still, despite every cell in his body wanting to go each in, he'll be suitable to keep Sally and Abbott dispatches, if the Abbott can simply repel. Kane delighted every moment of dismembering Victor Newman's conglomerate, savoring the chaos he left in his wake, but the verity is, he wasn't finished yet. For Ashby, the exhilaration wasn't just in the palms themselves, it was in watching lives unravel, and occasionally, those lives were people he no way intended to harm. Every move he made, every strategy he executed, sounded advised to shake Genoa City to its core, yet, as always, fate has a way of wringing intentions into consequences. The rearmost target, or at least the unintended victim, could veritably well be someone Kane had induced himself he was helping Billy Abbott. It's ironic, really. Kane deposited himself as a protection, a confidant, a hand extended to someone he claimed demanded guidance. And yet, in true Ashby fashion, the veritably thing he offered as a lifeline could come a rope able of strangling the bone. He sought to save. Billy, of course, remained blissfully ignorant of the storm about to descend on him, his mind clouded by ambition, fidelity, and that stubborn band of idealism that had defined him since nonage. For times, suckers of the young and the restless have suspected whether Kane might ultimately pull the hairpiece out from under Phyllis, questioning whether he could ever truly trust her, whether he indeed demanded her in the grand scheme of his vanquishing. But right now, the eyes of Genoa City might be better fixed on Billy, because whether Phyllis ends up getting what she thinks she deserves or not is secondary to the chain response Ashby is about to set off by swinging the keys to Chancellor Enterprises in front of the youngish Abbott. Kane's offer, on the face, seems generous. Nearly a done deal, he and Phyllis have orchestrated the preemption of Newman Enterprises with scrupulous perfection, and now Kane is extending an olive branch to Billy, a chance to reclaim Chancellor and reclaim some semblance of power that has escaped him. To Billy, the proposition is infectious. In his head, everything will align impeccably. He'll helm Chancellor, Sally will continue steering Abbott dispatches, and together, they'll form the power couple Genoa City has always endured to see, a brace ready to dominate the commercial geography while managing a love that feels destined. But the verity is far more complicated, and Kane, for all his designing, knows that formerly Billy makes his move, there's no turning back. Billy's single inclined focus on Chancellor blinds him to the dominoes lined up around him, each poised to fall, each able of tripping everything he holds dear. First, there's the delicate matter of Sally. Formerly, she's frustrated with Billy's incapability to resolve one's issues, visited by precariousness and backstabbings both real and imagined. Her decision to leave Marchetti dispatches and throw her lot in with Billy was bold, parlous, and dependent on trust that Billy might not yet deserve. However, he risks alienating the one person who has constantly supported his gambles, the one person who believed in his implicit despite his excrescencies, if Billy abandons Abbott dispatches in favor of running Chancellor precociously. Also there's Jill. Silent, calculating Jill Abbott, the investor behind Abbott dispatches, the mastermind of the openings that allowed her son to spread his bodies, would be furious. She no way wanted Billy to inherit Catherine's company outright, she vended it to give him a fresh launch, a chance to make commodity truly his own without the weight of prospects that come with a heritage brand. However, deserting Abbott dispatches for the appeal of Chancellor, she could pull her fiscal support entirely, if she learns that Billy is willingly deserting her trust. And it does end there. NIKKI Newman, ever the guardian of her family's heritage, would not sit actively by if Chancellor's arms shifted under Kane's manipulations. Despite Victor's conglomerate being temporarily destabilized, NIKKI has the resoluteness, cunning, and coffers to fight for what's rightfully hers, indeed if it means defying Billy directly. The Abbott, induced that he's making a strategic move, may find himself caught between his love for Sally, the scores he owes to Jill, and the ineluctable wrath of a Newman dame unintentional to allow her family's conglomerate to be despoiled without a fight. As the pieces move across Genoa City's unfaithful board, the situation grows decreasingly dangerous. Kane, ever the tactician, understands the chaos he's unleashing but maybe underestimates the depth of Billy's emotional attachments, his fidelity to Sally, and the stakes involved in walking down from Abbott dispatches. For the followership, the pressure is palpable. Will Billy succumb to the temptation of immediate power, ignoring the broader counter-accusations that could destroy his particular and professional life? Or will he, against every instinct, repel Kane's offer, fating that true strength lies in tolerance, in recognizing commitments, and in guarding the people who count most? The implicit fallout is stunning. Sally, blindsided by Billy's decision, would not only face the collapse of her professional intentions but the treason of a relationship she trusted implicitly. Jill, incensed, might withdraw her support, leaving Abbott dispatches vulnerable and untreated, an adventure thrown into query because her son chose ambition over strategy. Meanwhile, NIKKI's counterattack could strip Billy of Chancellor's control entirely, demonstrating the brutal reality that in Genoa City, power is no way a gift, it's always earned, defended, and, more frequently than not, quarried with ruthless perfection. And yet, Kane's provocations remain opaque. He frames his hindrance as guidance, a chance to connect with Billy, to help him realize his eventuality. But in true Ashby fashion, the guidance is laced with pitfall. The occasion he presents could either elevate Billy to heights preliminarily unattainable or crush him beneath the weight of misestimated fidelity, domestic scores, and the inexorable forces of Genoa City politics. The pressure extends beyond just business maneuvering, it's deeply particular. Billy's opinions affect further than shareholders and commercial boardrooms, they ripple through connections, impacting Sally's career, Jill's trust, and the fragile alliances that define his world. Kane, with his trademark combination of charm, ruthlessness, and strategic foresight, is completely apprehensive of this. Yet he pushes forward, induced that the ends justify the means, indeed if the collateral damage is someone he claims to watch about. And so, as the drama unfolds, the stakes couldn't be advanced. Billy Abbott stands at a crossroads, torn between the tantalizing prospect of power and the sobering liabilities of fidelity and integrity. Should he accept Kane's offer, he risks alienating the people who count most, undermining his relationship with Sally, losing Jill's trust and support, and sparking a battle with NIKKI that could strip him of Chancellor entirely. But if he resists, he not only preserves what he holds dear but demonstrates growth, adaptability, and a maturity that could earn him genuine respect, not just as a commercial leader, but as a man able of making hard, principled opinions in a megacity where moral concession is frequently the price of success. Suckers of the young and the restless know this story is far from over. Kane's offer, presumably a lifeline, is a double-wetted brand, designed to test Billy's character as much as his ambition. The outgrowth hinges on whether Billy can see past the immediate appeal of control and power, whether he can prioritize connections and long-term strategy over the transitory satisfaction of seizing what seems within reach. In the best-case script, he resists, maintaining his bonds with Sally, securing Abbott dispatches, and proving to himself, and to everyone around him, that he's able of navigating the unfaithful waters of Genoa City without succumbing to impulsive ambition. But the megacity's history is replete with exemplary tales, and one misstep could undo everything. Kane, with his advised interventions, has set the stage for one of the most compelling power struggles in recent memory. Every choice Billy makes from this point forward carries monumental consequences, not just for himself, but for those whose lives are intertwined with his. Will he rise above the chaos, or will the stranding ball Kane wields eventually crush the very people he claims to be guarding? The suspension is palpable. The outgrowth remains uncertain. And in Genoa City, the line between supporter and adversary is thinner than ever, making the question of trust, ambition, and fidelity more critical, and more dangerous, than ever ahead. Billy Abbott's decision will resonate throughout the megacity, impacting Sally, Jill, NIKKI, and indeed Kane himself, whose precisely orchestrated schemes may yet boomerang in ways indeed he cannot prognosticate. It's a high-stakes game of power, love, and heritage, where every choice matters, and the consequences of a single misstep could reshape the future of every major player in Genoa City. Whether Billy succumbs to temptation or resists, one thing is certain: Kane's influence has irrevocably altered the geography, and the fallout will be as explosive, heartbreaking, and changeable as any addict could imagine. In a world where ambition clashes with fidelity, and strategy meets emotion, the Abbott heir at law must navigate a maze of peril, deception, and desire, and the path he chooses will define not only his career but the veritably fabric of his particular life, proving formally again that in Genoa City, no bone escapes unscathed, and every decision carries the weight of heritage, love, and the ruthless pursuit of power. As the dust from Kane's latest maneuvers settled over Genoa City, the tension around Billy Abbott grew nearly unbearable. The reality of Kane's offer was beginning to press down on him like a vice, invisible yet suffocating. Every time he thought about stepping into Chancellor, he felt a thrill, the promise of power, prestige, the chance to prove himself on a stage he had longed for, but that excitement was tempered by an undercurrent of dread. Sally's face kept flashing in his mind. He had promised her his unwavering support when they decided to merge their professional ambitions, and now he faced a choice that could shatter that delicate trust. Every part of him wanted to leap at Kane's proposition, to snatch back the legacy that had been just beyond his reach for so long, but another part, the part that had learned, painfully, about betrayal and the fragility of love, warned him that some gains came at too high a cost. Sally had given up stability at Marchetti to build something with him, to invest herself fully in Abbott Communications. She had thrown caution to the wind, believing in Billy, believing that together they could navigate Genoa City's relentless currents and build something truly theirs. And yet, by accepting Kane's offer, he would be undermining all of that effort. Abbott Communications wasn't just a company, it was a symbol of Sally's courage, a testament to her willingness to trust him, and to trust herself. Walking away from it would feel like betrayal on multiple levels, betraying Sally's trust, undermining Jill's vision for him, and stepping into a war with the Newman family that he wasn't fully prepared to fight. Jill, meanwhile, was quietly stewing. As Billy pondered the offer, she was reviewing the projections, the investments, the legal documents that kept Abbott Communications afloat. Every scenario he could dream up was a nightmare to her, because if he abandoned the company now, not only would the business suffer, but Sally would bear the brunt of it. Jill had believed in her son, yes, but she also understood that ambition untempered by strategy could destroy everything she had worked to protect. She had orchestrated Abbott Communications to give Billy a platform, a fresh start, away from the shadows of legacy companies like Chancellor and Newman Enterprises. She had done it carefully, deliberately, ensuring that her support gave him freedom without creating dependency. But if he took the bait from Kane, all of that meticulous planning could unravel in a heartbeat. Jill had warned him before about the dangers of letting desire override judgment. She had seen the allure of power cloud his vision before, and she knew that Kane's offer was the ultimate test, a test she was convinced he might fail. If Jill needed proof that the city could change a man in the blink of an eye, this was it. And then there was NIKKI Newman. Fierce, relentless, and impossible to intimidate, NIKKI was a force unto herself. She had always protected her family's legacy with the tenacity of someone who understood the stakes far beyond boardroom politics. NIKKI wasn't about to allow Chancellor Enterprises to slip quietly into Billy's hands, even if Kane's plan was well-intentioned, or cleverly manipulative. To her, Catherine's legacy was sacred. It wasn't just a business, it was history, it was family, it was a symbol of everything the Newman name stood for. Billy's premature acceptance of the position would spark immediate resistance, and NIKKI's fury would be personal, not just strategic. She would see him as another pawn, another player being manipulated by Kane's machinations, and she would fight to reclaim what was hers. Victor might have been temporarily sidelined, but NIKKI would ensure the battle over Chancellor would be anything but simple. Billy's decision was not just about ambition, it was about surviving the wrath of a woman whose love and loyalty to her family could only be matched by the sharpness of her temper. Meanwhile, Kane remained calm, almost unnervingly so. He understood the game, the stakes, and the psychological pressure building around Billy. Every hesitation, every glance towards Sally or Jill, every doubt that crept into Billy's mind, was a thread Kane could pull to manipulate the outcome. He was a master of strategic influence, and in his mind, this was the perfect storm. Kane could watch, unseen, as Billy wrestled with ambition, love, and loyalty, and he could ensure that whichever path Billy took, the consequences would strengthen Kane's position in Genoa City. Yet even Kane had to admit there was a personal thrill in the chaos he was orchestrating. He was not just playing a corporate game, he was shaping lives, bending people to his vision, and watching the city's most powerful families collide like tectonic plates. Billy's inner conflict intensified by the day. He could imagine the headlines, the whispers in the halls of Genoa City: Abbott's son reclaims Chancellor under Kane's watchful eye, a triumphant story to outsiders, but a betrayal in his own heart. Could he really do it? Could he risk Sally's faith, Jill's trust, and the fragile stability he had built in the midst of chaos? Every fiber of his being screamed yes. Power was intoxicating, the chance to take the reins of a legacy company so close, but the echoes of past mistakes, of relationships strained by ambition, reminded him that every action had a reaction. Sally's career hung in the balance. Abbott Communications wasn't just a company, it was her dream, her stake in the city, her proof that she could succeed on her own terms. By leaving her, by chasing Chancellor, he risked undermining everything she had worked for. And then there was Jill's support. It wasn't merely financial, it was symbolic. Jill had invested not just her money, but her faith in him, and walking away would feel like spitting in the face of that belief. Finally, there was the Newman family. NIKKI's resolve was legendary, and Victor's resilience even more so. Even if Kane succeeded in temporarily shifting power, Billy would not escape the storm intact. Taking Chancellor under these circumstances was like stepping into a hornet's nest, with no guarantee he'd come out unscathed. For Sally, the tension was suffocating. She could feel the walls closing in, could sense that Billy was at a crossroads, teetering on the edge between loyalty and ambition. She had warned him, pleaded with him, but Kane's shadow loomed over every decision. She had invested her life, her career, and her heart into Abbott Communications, believing that together she and Billy could build something indestructible. But Kane's interference threatened to destabilize everything. If Billy accepted the offer,